Our guest today is a well-known figure on the poker circuit who continues to cash in tournaments both live and online. More than 2 million won live, more than 3 million online. His most recent big score, he won the Punta Cana Poker Classic main event in November for a cool $177,000. From my count on the Hendon Mob, I may be wrong, but 8 WSOP Circuit titles and the rings that come with them. He's also a winner on the Heartland Poker Tour. This guy can play, okay? And all the games. Ari Engel is with us. Ari, thanks for being our high roller today, man.
Hey, Derek. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you having me on. One of those circuit wins were not an official ring event, so it's only 7 ring events. Outside of that, sound pretty good. Like your research, and glad to be here.
All right, thanks a lot. So 7. I mean, where do you rank in terms of the all-time leader? You got to be right up there.
Yeah, I'm second right now. Alex Masick has 8, and I'm most certainly chasing him. I've said this publicly. I've said this to him. My goal is to try and get to him and catch him and then overtake him. But, you know, unlucky for me, he's a really good player, and he has goals himself to keep winning them. So it's quite the contest, and there are a number of people, looking at us from behind and trying to catch us. So it's definitely a race.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got some high roller radio mojo for you. Some of our guests have gone on to win big tournaments after appearing on high roller radio, so good things to come for you, Ari. Listen, I want to talk about the WSOP circuit. You know, you talk about this race for the rings and the most titles. Where does it rank in terms of the WSOP? I mean, it's a circuit unto itself, and it's very prestigious in its own right, isn't it?
Well, I guess it's a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a prestigious tour. It's a more of a tour catered towards people that are not traveling, and so, you know, the locals in each place, so that they can have something to play, and it just goes all around the country. The preliminary events at $300 to $1,100 buy-ins, mostly 365s. So, we're looking at, affordable ones in general. The main events are 1675s, but they do run a lot of satellites to them. So basically, it's more, some people refer to as the minor leagues, and I have no problem with that kind of description. It's kind of in the live world. It's for people that want to get into tournaments seriously, want to play, professional style tournaments, but just, not have to deal with, huge amount of pros at their table. So, I certainly enjoy playing them, and they're well run. Most of them are, have crews of traveling staff that are very professional and, run the tournaments really well. So, yeah.
In that regard, I want to talk a little about money management. I mean, you travel the world playing cards. There's got to be big expenses involved. You have to be careful what events you buy into, how much you play for. I read somewhere that you like to play buy-ins between $500 and the $1,500 range. I mean, how do you approach money management when you're always in action?
So, I agree for sure. Basically, there are two kinds of players. Players that are 100% relying on their income, and players that are not. If you're not 100% relying on this income, then the fund doesn't really apply to you. You have other considerations. But someone like me who really doesn't have income outside of poker, and people like that, I think bankroll management becomes really important, because if you lose your bankroll, it's kind of like you're losing your, you're an artist and you're losing your paintbrush. Basically, money is needed in order to play poker, and if you don't have your money anymore, how are you going to be able to play? So, what people end up doing is things like getting backed, but when you're backed, you're giving up 50% of what you make in the long run, so or more, depending on the situation. So it's not really such an amazing situation to get backed, except for very few unique situations. But for most of the people getting backed, I would, if I could go back in time, I would, just have them play well within their bankroll, and then see, especially in tournaments. Let's say you enter a $50 tournament, and $50 is where you should be playing. By the time you make the final table, it's almost the equivalent of you're playing a $500 sit-and go that you just bought into. Obviously depending on how many people and things like that, but the point is that you're playing really high stakes now relative to that $50 that you bought in for. when people buy in for the main event and they take a stretch to play a $10,000 tournament, which almost everyone in the field is playing outside their comfort zone. Now imagine you're getting close to the final table, you're at the final table, and you're playing. First place might be 10 million or 8 million or something like that.
You're playing Phil Ivey range.
yeah, you're playing. I mean, you're not going to be able to play well. It's just going to be so difficult to play well in that kind of situation. So, if on the other hand, imagine this situation. Imagine you could be playing, $10,000 tournaments or $5,000 tournaments, but now you play $500 or $1,000 tournaments. You play a lot lower than you could be. Now, when you make it to the final table, you still might be playing a little bit out of your reach, but you're so much closer to where you should be. And compared to your opponents now, you have a huge edge because you're the Ivy in that situation. You're playing in your comfort zone.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of why I play lower than...
Well, you must see it all the time then. Guys in your situation, playing your stakes, they make a score, and then they think they are Phil Ivey. They try to stretch it, and before you know it, they go broke.
Yeah, unfortunately, it happens a little too often. Whether on or off the table, it's really hard to keep your money, and it's really hard to actually make it go at this. Remember, every year your profits, a third approximately, depending on how good your accountant is, gets taken away, and so. And then when you lose, they don't reimburse you a third of your losses. So, poker can be very difficult to make a living. And then when you account things like travel expenses, it is not a very easy way to make money traveling to play live tournaments. It's not really something that I can recommend because it's just after everything, it's very, very difficult for people to make money doing that.
I know you love the game, and I know you're right. You're playing a tournament, you run deep, you got visions of winning it, then you take a horrific beat, and then you've got to figure out how you're getting to the next city, the next venue. You got to get there within your budget. You got to make everything work, and on top of that, you got to continue playing well. Now, the Borgata Spring Poker Open has come and gone. You cashed event number 8. It was a $2,500 buy-in. You placed 44th for $5,400 and change. What's it like when you min cash? I know everyone talks about going for the win, but those min cashes are important too, right? They sort of keep you going.
It's interesting because in December last year, I played in an EPT high roller and I cashed in that, and it was my first time cashing in such a prestigious tournament like that. And I'd never seen, as we approached the bubble, I kind of, like, in my mind, I used to joke about how in the low stakes, everyone would, kind of hold on and really, really want to cash. And it made it kind of easy to, raise a lot of hands and things like that and steal the blinds and stuff. But I never seen anything like it in this 10K high roller. These top professionals, everyone was holding on to the dear, seats trying to cash in this tournament. Now, yeah, it's a little bit bigger of a buy-in, but a lot of them sold pieces and things like that, and I think the trend has gone back, and you used to have the top professionals go, you know what, we don't care about min cashing, we don't care, I'll only play for the win. Even at final tables, people used to say, yeah, those people that play to move up, they're a joke. We play to win. We're the serious professionals. We take advantage of those people. Well, it's come full circle now. Top professionals really care about moving up spots, and they really care about cashing. And when you're a couple of spots away from money and you don't cash, it's really bad. If 49 paid and there's 52 or 53 left, most of your long run expectation comes from cashing. So you need to make sure to cash in those situations.
Right. Okay. So with money management and the buy-ins in mind, this $565 Colossus has got to be right up your alley, one of the premier events for you at the WSOP.
Yeah, to me, tournament poker is all about investing a little, playing in a huge field with the chance to make a huge return. Kind of growing up in the poker world, in tournament poker, I played online, and playing in those huge fields online, that's really what it's about. Once every large number of times that you entered, you have to keep entering, and most of the time you're not going to get anywhere, and even when you get somewhere and you get a cash, it's not going to be much. But every now and again, in a live tournament, it's like, in a tournament like that, you can expect once every 4 or 5 lifetimes to hit something in that. So you can't really expect anything in that regard. But it's still such an amazing, to have 20,000 entries is going to be really cool. Of course, I'm not really a fan of having re-entries, and especially allowing people to enter 4 times. But at least it's not unlimited re-entries. And but I do wonder what the impact is going to be on the rest of the series. I have a feeling it's going to be a negative impact having a tournament, having these huge promotional tournaments. You're going to end up having. I assume that some of the other 1Ks and 1500s will end up getting hurt by this. I'd love to be proven otherwise.
I was going to ask you how you approach the WSOP, but you kind of answered it earlier. I guess you go from week to week and just see how you're feeling and decide as you go what events you're going to play?
Exactly. Every day, I've already thought about it a little bit in the days leading up, and there are a few events that I kind of look forward to more than others. But basically, each day I wake up and decide what, if anything, I want to play. If I don't feel like playing, I don't. But I have a very open-minded schedule and a lot has to do with my confidence level at the time and just in general how I'm feeling. And there's so many options there. So and it's not necessarily that it's always like a super obvious what the best one is for my situation on that day. So I just kind of wait till the last second.
Ari, I know you're an Orthodox Jew and very proud of your heritage. It's not often you hear Orthodox Jew poker pro. Your dad's a rabbi, your mom's a Jewish studies teacher. I know they've been very supportive. I wonder what it's like for you being an Orthodox Jew in the poker world. The reason I ask, we had Ryan LaPlante on not too long ago, and he's an openly gay poker pro, and he says that the poker world has been great. I mean, they're very tolerant. But I'm wondering, have you faced any bigotry at the tables?
No, I completely agree with him, and yeah, it's almost surprising that I haven't. I've definitely faced like a ton of negative attitudes and hostility at the table. Especially when you play I play a very loose style of play. I'm in there a lot and not always with great hands. People do tend to get upset sometimes, but somehow it's never gotten anti-Semitic or anything like that. Which is almost surprising because I've been playing poker now for like 10 or 11 years. So just, to get 1 or 2 assholes in there would be, you'd almost expect that. And obviously I've seen them, but just not directed at me, I guess. But no, yeah, I think the poker world is quite enlightened in that regard as a whole. But, there's definitely more work to be done. And I think even though we're getting better, there's definitely, some people at the tables are overall a little bit too negative to other players.
You've been doing this for a while, and I could just imagine that conversation way back when. Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I think I'm going to play poker for a living. But I saw that great picture of you winning the I think it was the WSOP Circuit, and your parents right there supporting you.
Yeah, that was awesome. For my 6th ring, I won it about 20 minutes from their house, so gave them a call with a few people left. They came down in time for the heads up, and and came to watch and support me, and that was amazing. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning, I guess I did not say I was going to go professional. I basically said I was going to do it for a few months and see how it went. I was 21 at the time, graduated college, did not have a really good job, so I didn't have too much to lose, and I basically had made half a year's salary already playing poker, so I said I'm going to take off 6 months, and I have this amount of money saved up anyway, and we'll see how it goes. Lucky for me, it went really well, and then I just never really considered seriously not playing anymore, although it's hard to predict what the future will bring.
Well, it's a great game. I know you got to play today. Can you answer a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay, real short ones then. Curious what you think about this day and age of poker on Twitch. I know you had Ari's training center. As a fan of the game, I mean, I love it. I'm watching, the super high roller from Monaco later today on Twitch and live. But as a pro, do you find it irritating that guys like Negreanu and Dutch Boyd and Jason Somerville are basically giving away secrets to the masses?
No. I'm the masses, so I love it. I'm the biggest fanboy out there. I'm watching the same thing that everyone else is. I'm watching them. I'm following them. I'm subscribing, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it's worth it for some people. Like, I don't really see myself doing it necessarily, but yeah, if they want to do it, that's amazing. And I definitely am watching some of these guys. So I love it. And I mean, you can complain about poker getting tougher, but it's just inevitable. It's happening. There's tons of educational resources. It's just going to keep happening and getting tougher. So it's kind of like focus on the controllables. The fact that poker is getting tougher is an uncontrollable thing. It's nothing I can do or think about in that regard is going to matter. So just try and focus on the things that I can control and just try and stay ahead of the curve a little bit.
And I know you're big on Twitter, at Real Ari Engel. Mostly you're posting about how you're doing in the tournament, your chip counts, etc. But if I could get one or two sentences on each of these tweets that you sent out. The best poker documentary I've watched, Nosebleed, and Off to Toronto, Canada, the real land of the free, to play some online poker.
Yeah, Nosebleed was an amazing documentary about two high-stakes French pros that are cash game players, but kind of their trip to World Series for Vegas is a big part of it, and just all about them. And I found it really interesting and a good, interesting glimpse into like the high-stakes world. And then I was born in Toronto. After Black Friday, I started spending a lot more time here, and obviously the fact that you're allowed to play online poker, that's our main concern as poker players. So, I do love America and all that. While we can't play online poker, it definitely is not really exciting for me to be there, and so I'm trying to spend as much time as I can outside of there so I can play online poker, which is really the only... live poker is not really a very economical way to play as a poker pro, with only one table going on, and it's really slow, and travel expenses and things like that, all which don't, so you need to make so much more live to justify it compared to online, and it's really difficult to think that you're going to make that much more. So, instead of playing one $500 live tournament, I could play 10 $50 online tournaments, split up the risk, easier field, not necessarily easier fields, but yeah.
There you go. You can play in Canada.
Free, and I do really enjoy it up here, except for in the winter, which I try to not spend too much time here. But I'm here. I'm now in Montreal playing the World Poker Tour event that they're having and playing online.
It's the life of a tournament pro, folks. And if you ever want to see a guy who cashes all the time, just Google Ari Engel and check out the Hendon Mob database. It's cash. Big score. Ari, listen, good luck at the World Series. Really appreciate your time today. Thanks for being our high roller, man.
Thanks so much, and hope to see you out there.